the new Season 6 Alpha Apex Legends, we have seen a lot of legend changes which have shifted up the meta quite a lot. So I think now is a great time to form a legend tier list to rank all legends from worst to best. Please keep in mind that this list is only for pubs and ranked, not professional level. I am definitely not a professional. Also, this list is according to my opinion, so feel free to let me know any changes you'd make to the list, if any, in the comments, as I try to reply to all the comments that I get. Just before we jump into the list, if you're new to the channel and you find this video informative or enjoyed it, please hit that subscribe button, as it's one of the best ways to support the channel. Now let's jump right into the tier list. To kick things off in D tier, we have our high speed daredevil, Octane. Now don't get me wrong, Octane is very fun to play, but overall he doesn't offer much for the team, and Apex is definitely a team-based game, especially in higher ranks. I don't think the double jump ability that he got made much of a difference to his overall kit, and he did get an extra 10% speed boost while stimming. He does definitely feel like the fastest legend, but I think it still feels like there's much to be desired rather than just moving faster than everyone else. Legends with mobility are very good, such as a grapple or phase for example, but the stim isn't all that good, and whenever you use the jump pad you just become an easy target to get shot out of the air. So with that said, I think that Octane still needs some tweaks that could make him a better legend, but I think he's an okay place and he's the only legend in my D tier. So now on to C tier. Here we have the Trickster Mirage. The rework Mirage got in Season 5 put Mirage in a very good place. I think his kit is definitely usable. His bamboozle rate is basically 100% now because his decoys are perfect at mimicking the real Mirage player. He does offer much for his team rather than Octane, such as an invisible revive and an invisible respawn when using respawn beacons. Mirage excels at confusing enemies, and he gets his ultimate ability every 60 seconds. So he can confuse people very often, and his decoys last for an entire 60 seconds as well. So while his decoy is deployed, within that time he will get his ultimate, so in almost every fight he will have both his ultimate and decoy ready to help to confuse the enemy. I think Mirage is probably the most fun legend to use. If you want a good laugh, you definitely can't go wrong with picking Mirage. Next up in C tier is Loba. At the beginning of Season 6 she got her black market cooldown reduced, but I don't think that is affecting her pick rate or viability much. Loba does have good mobility with her bracelet, but the problem with it is that it's slow and not really good to use mid-fight because it leaves you vulnerable after it's thrown. I think if she could defend herself after she is thrown it, or if they speed up the animation of putting the bracelet back on after you teleport, or just take that animation away completely, then Loba would be a great legend. She definitely has the potential to be really good. I just hope they do buff her a bit because you hardly see any Loba players lately. And with that, that is where C tier ends. To start off B tier, we have our French girl, Watson. Some people might argue that she should be higher on this list, and to some extent, I could agree with them. However, Watson has been shifted out of the meta. She can still be very effective, but in order for that to happen, you definitely need a good squad with good communication to really hold down a place on the map. Watson is really good for defensive plays on War's Edge, as she can really hold a building, especially along with a Caustic on the team. The new meta has brought a lot more aggressive playstyle, and Watson doesn't offer that, but she is still a solid character that can be used. Next up, Bangalore. Also in B tier for me. Bangalore has seen seasons fly by without any changes. However, she did get a reset buff at the start of Season 6. Her ultimate now takes 3.5 minutes to recharge. Previously it was 4.5 minutes. She has been a good character since the start of Apex, and her passive ability is amazing. You really can't deny the benefits of movement speed while in fights or being shot at. It's one of the best passive abilities in the game, but I still think she needs a buff. Her ultimate sometimes feels useless as people can just run right through it, so I think they can tweak her ultimate ability to either let the missiles drop faster on the map or to just let the missiles detonate faster after landing. And that is where B tier ends for me. Now let's grapple into A tier with everybody's favorite robot, Pathfinder. His grapple nerf was quite significant, but he is still a really good legend in my opinion. A tier, and could maybe even be S tier because all it takes is one good grapple to really change a fight. Pathfinder has always been the most mobile character in Apex. One good grapple can cover way more distance than a phase or a jump pad, Pathfinder can also now get his zipline back faster each time he scans a server beacon. He can get his zipline back every 60 seconds after scanning a couple beacons. So with such an amazing tool as the grapple to put fights in your own favor, and your zipline to reposition your entire team, Pathfinder is a solid A tier character for me, and could be S tier. He was definitely S tier before the grapple nerf. The next legend up is the Shielded Fortress Gibraltar. He's seen a rise in recent seasons due to some huge buffs, such as his gun shield taking more damage and his fortified ability, which allows him to not be slowed, as well as taking 15% less damage than all other legends. They saw that he was becoming very dominant, so they tried to tone him down a bit. He was an S tier legend, but with recent nerfs to his defensive bombardment as well as his Dome of Protection, he is now an A tier character for me. His Dome of Protection lasts for 12 seconds instead of 18 what it used to be. He's also seen a decline in pick rate, but he's still a great character to play. But he's definitely falling from the top. He's still a very viable character and offers a lot for the team, especially seeing that he has the fastest revive in the game, even faster than Lifeline. Moving along in A tier, next on the list is the newest legend to the game, Rampart. I think she can be very effective if played properly, especially with a squad that has good communication. She's one of the best characters that they have added to the game who does fit the defensive role, but she can definitely be played with an aggressive squad as well, with using the amped walls to advance on the next team. Her minigun is overly oppressive, especially when it is being operated by Rampart herself, with that extra ammo and that faster reload. Also keep in mind that she can place up to 5 amped walls and 3 miniguns, so her entire team can be raining lead on another team with 3 miniguns all at once, so she can create a really strong defensive pose for her team. Next up in A tier we have Revenant. After the range on his death totem was removed, Revenant has become a very popular choice back in Season 5. But then I would have put Revenant in S tier, but no, with a slight nerf to his totem not being able to take the portal, a Wraith portal for 2 seconds after being summoned back to the totem, less people have been playing him as he's less effective. The main composition of Wraith, Crypto and Revenant is also being used less since Crypto's EMP now slows teammates as well. Nonetheless, Revenant is still a great character to play for aggressive players, and he still does counter every other legend in the game, so definitely one for the aggressive players out there. And last but not least in A tier we have the stinky boy Caustic. I think Caustic is the best solo legend to play, whether it's ranked or pubs. If you're playing solo, Caustic can definitely be a game changer for you. He did get a recent nerf to his barrels, not being able to get disabled if they're not fully inflated by getting shot anywhere, but that was a definitely much needed nerf. But he definitely still has his place in the game and is the best defensive character in my opinion. Caustic players are definitely not fun to play against. That just goes to show how effective he is at what he does. He can hold down an entire building by himself, and with his gas no longer slowing teammates, he's definitely a great addition to almost any team. Now we're finally in S tier, and I'm sure this part of the video is where most people want to hear. These are the legends that I think make the best composition for a balanced team with both offensive, supportive, and an informative legend as well. To start off S tier we have Wraith, and I'm sure this is no surprise. She has the smallest hitbox in the game, and in a shooter like Apex that definitely can't be overlooked. Her portal cooldown was increased at the start of Season 6, however that hasn't affected her pick rate much, and she's still very essential to most teams, especially in ranked for those portals. Wraith is also the #1 picked legend in the game, and with good reason. She deserves to be played as much as she is, because she's a very solid legend and a great part of any team. The next S tier legend is Bloodhound. Bloodhound has seen buff after buff over the seasons, and I think this is where Bloodhound is going to peak, for now at least. Bloodhound basically has constant scanning while he is in his ultimate, Beast of the Hunt, and Bloodhound can also scan server beacons to reveal the next ring. Bloodhound's strafe speed while in his ultimate is super hard to fight against, and overall Bloodhound is just a very good character at this point. With his constant scan, he can be very dominant over another team. And when he gets a knock or kill while in Beast of the Hunt, he gets an additional 15 seconds in his ultimate. So he can have his ultimate for an entire fight if he knocks or kills someone. Also, his constant scanning nearly prevents enemies from hiding to heal because you know exactly where they are. Right now, no one can really escape the power of a good Bloodhound player. Then we have Crypto. He has gotten a recent nerf to his EMP as it now slows teammates again. However, he got the recon cracked buff. That means that he can now scan server beacons immediately with his drone, respawn teammates with his drone instantly, and of course he can also pick up teammates' banners instantly with his drone as well. This has really changed how effective Crypto is, because even if the server beacon is in the storm, Crypto can still scan it without taking any damage with his drone. Even if there are teams near to the server beacon, he can still scan the beacon for his team with his drone, so they can get the best position in the next zone. His EMP is still also very effective when attacking, especially seeing now that shields absorb less damage. The EMP is even more than effective than it used to be. And last but definitely not least, we have Lifeline, my main in Apex. I didn't put her here because she's my main. I put her here because there are so many scenarios where a teammate is down and Lifeline is the only character in the game that can let your team win that fight. She's especially effective with the gold backpack, Guardian Angel, to revive teammates with shield and health while she's still fighting the enemy team. Also, she's the only character in Apex that can revive 2 players at once. It's always good to have an effective Lifeline on your team, and whenever you're going up against a squad with a Lifeline player, always try to knock the Lifeline first, because if you don't, you're basically giving them a free shield to fight behind, while getting her teammate back in the fight as well. Now with all that said, that wraps up my Legend tier list for Season 6 of Apex Legends. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider hitting that subscribe button and leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. I'll catch you guys in the next one.